When I was in my late 20s, I went to a conference about nuclear weapons, planning to network and learn about some new organizations. But instead of learning with some like-minded people, I found a profound sense of belonging. I found my people. 15 years later, I still remember the exact moment that sense of belonging clicked in. After one of the sessions, another young adult invited me to stay and talk with a small group about their plans for the weekend. I can still see the blackboard in the classroom where we were talking about nukes and organizing. I was sitting on the edge of a desk and someone asked me my opinion, and then they really listened to what I had to say, and the entire group adjusted their plans because of it. They made space for me, and they genuinely included me in their work and their planning. I was surprised, and suddenly I was deeply engaged. I went from feeling like an observer to feeling like I was invited, I was participating, to feeling like I belonged. After that, not only did I spend that weekend with the new people, my new people, within a year, I was planning a national conference with them, and within 2 years, I had moved across the country with them to lead an organizing summer for young people. Belonging, true belonging, is powerful. It feels like dropping into our own center while simultaneously connecting with the people around us. And true belonging feels safe. It feels like we are welcome as ourselves. There's no performance necessary, no code switching or guarding or wondering if your stories are acceptable. When true belonging clicks in, your shoulders drop and your breath eases. You know that you can be you and you will be welcome, you will be appreciated, you will be celebrated. We are born with a desire for belonging, a desire to connect with other human beings. In human evolution, our survival depended on belonging to a larger human community. Our brains and our bodies know that we have to belong in order to live. That need, it's hardwired into us. In fact, studies have shown that human beings with high levels of belonging live longer than human beings with lower levels of belonging. In a 2010 health study, Dr. Julian Holt-Lunstad found that the most important factor in living a long life was belonging. And a lack of belonging was as big of a health risk as drinking or smoking. The study's meta-analysis used data from 150 other studies with 300,000 participants. And with all of that data, it found that our relationships with other people are the most important factor in how long we live. Interestingly, this massive study found that it's not just the immediate, deep connections with close loved ones, friends, family that extend a person's life. It's also the next ring of relationships, what the study calls complex social integration. That next ring of relationships matters. The relationships that you make in community, with your neighbors, at church, at your local coffee shop, library, bookstore, those are key to feeling a sense of embeddedness, belonging in a community. The close associations matter. They extend your life, they increase your well-being, but those relationships, the immediate close relationships, are the second most important factor in your longevity. The most important factor was social integration. The most important factor was feeling a sense of belongingness, of embeddedness in a larger community. That sense of belonging to community, of being in place at home in a larger community that knows you and holds you, is the number one thing that human beings need for our health and our well-being. Belonging is a human need, and it is hard to meet it in our modern day society. There are fewer and fewer organized communities to join, and even fewer communities that are not either special skill or identity-based. If you're not a ball player or a bookmaker or a drinker or a mom, where do you go to find new friends as an adult? How do you connect with a community that could bring this sense of embeddedness, belonging? In a classic American movie trope, a band of intrepid adventurers embarks on a hero's journey to find some lost treasure. There's an ancient map hidden in an old journal or in the lining of a suitcase, and our hero finds it to the tune of tinkling and eerie music. From the Goonies to Indiana Jones to Dora the Explorer, we love a treasure hunt. It's a metaphor for our life's journeys of discovery, our human process of seeking what is treasured, seeking again and again and again that which is sacred. So what is your process? How do you find your way to what matters? Do you listen to your heart, to the lure of its longing pulling you somewhere? Or maybe you have an internal dowsing rod in your gut that directs you to the song singing your name. Or maybe you discern with loved ones. You have mentors that are consistently good guides. Or maybe you're a dreamer. Someone who imagines or literally dreams the thing and then goes out to find it in the world. Or maybe you're a researcher, a librarian seeking knowledge in books, using code words to search, scouring the knowledge bastions for just the right key to unlock your heart. How do you find treasure? How do you seek what is sacred in the world? In process theology, the holy, love, beloveds, invite rather than control. The power that love exerts in the world is invitational. God, if you want to use that word, is alive in the world through invitation, through attraction, through a hook in the heart or a whispering woo on the wind. It's not usually a burning bush. Usually it's a still, small voice calling, I want, I long for, I dream of that human connection or that calling or that reconnection with family or friends. The universe, if you want to use that word, is in relationship with us through invitation. Sometimes the invitation is just a flutter of the heart when you hear an opportunity, a little skip at the possibility of a new relationship or community, a reaching for, a longing, a reaching out. And other times, your heart is quiet, or maybe the world is loud, and it takes an outside invitation for us to find alignment with what we truly seek. A couple of weeks ago, one of our members shared a story of being invited into a new community here at First Church. She had been working for a while with our children in religious education, volunteering down in the nursery because she loves babies. But then one day, our then youth program coordinator, Deb Solis, invited her to become a youth advisor on one of the youth mission trips traveling with our church's teenagers to Michigan to build houses with Habitat for Humanity. And at first, she remembers that her response was, no. But then she thought about it a little and felt curiosity. She wanted to stretch, wanted to move outside of her comfort zone, so she said a qualified yes. She would try it one time with no commitment to do more if she hated it. But she loved it. She loved the heart connections that the young people made with her and with each other. She loved how they constantly listened to one single CD the entire trip, over and over again. She loved how earnestly the youth showed up and how hard they worked, but she most loved how the youth opened to one another and to the adult advisors in the worship services that they themselves created and led every night. Our youth, who unfurl their hearts like a banner proclaiming who they are, sometimes shyly, sometimes boldly, but always courageously. To continuously move into deeper and deeper states of authenticity and belonging, we keep asking ourselves, who are we? And whose are we? These two questions, who are we and whose are we, ricochet off one another in a ping pong of resonant tones as we move in the music of our souls. Who are we? When you find your people, when you find your place, that location of acceptance, when you can drop into yourself and be free and true without the grip of worry, who are you then? And whose are we? Claims you. When you're truly yourself, when you're silly or tired or overwhelmed, when you're imperfect, to whom do we belong when we're at the top of our game and bottom? When we're in the thick of it, and when we're in the thick of it, and when we're in the truth of it, who are we? And whose are we? We must keep asking these questions in the deep, in the quiet, in the hollows of our hearts, but also in community, in the chaos of coffee hour and the clamor of the day, in the weave between breaths and the pause between an invitation and belonging. We must keep asking these questions. Who are we and whose are we? And we must keep answering them. These are not just rhetorical questions. I invite you to find the place in your heart that is true right now. Find your people, your community right now. And it might change, and that's fine. But who are you and whose are you today? May we each allow ourselves the satisfaction of an answer, a settling in to authenticity, a place where our shoulders relax with our people, where energy and change is still able to flow. There is still an openness to the currents to reorder who we are and whose we are, but we are holding gently, allowing what is today to become and to grow. The loving and values-based and multi-generational community we have here at First Church is unique. It's sacred. It is a treasure. But it does not need to be a secret treasure. It doesn't. It doesn't have to have a complicated map. Belonging in the world begins with the practice of invitation, both giving invitations and receiving them. In receiving invitations, we can orient that decoder ring of our hearts to determine, is this the right invitation for me? And maybe at first the answer is no. But maybe it becomes a qualified yes. I'll give it a try. And then maybe it becomes, oh yes, here I am. This is my place. In making invitations, we extend our welcome, that which we have received, to someone else and help them find belonging, find a way in this world that is challenging and sometimes frightening and difficult to find community in. We help someone else find belonging that involves fewer hidden treasure maps and secret passwords. Because the practice of invitation means that we continuously keep building belonging together for ourselves, with the no and the qualified yes and the oh yes, and also with others, inviting people into the treasure of it. Because as Marge Piercy says, with 3 people, we are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With 4, you can play bridge and start an organization. With 6, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. It starts when you say we, and you know who you mean. And each day, you mean one more. Amen.